Okay, while we're waiting for this meeting to start, as you notice, here's the agenda. It lacks public comment prior to any recommendations. It also lacks the fact that there should be recommendations into the agenda so people can comment on them. How can you comment on an agenda item if you don't know what the recommendation or what they're aiming for? Also, we received a notice from Rebecca Karpowitz. Here it is. There's been a revision to the agenda for the meeting tonight. She's updated it. This was at 1 o'clock. I sent an email. Looks like they're getting started finally. Looks like they're getting started finally, and we'll get into this a little later. But I sent email revisions as well that I wanted on the agenda, and they were not added. The two
Okay,
recommendations.
Mr. Tack, are you able to see the agenda?
Yes, yep.
Let's see how
Please
they
stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America,
and
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation
nation,
under
under
God.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Tack, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to our Academic Affairs meeting. And the first item on our agenda is an update on the SEL program initiative that we brought up was brought up last month at our meeting. And I know we've had some meetings, and Mrs. Sam Kistler has been meeting with Mrs. Cartwright, myself, and Mr. Seblin and other staff as well. So I will turn that over to Mrs. Kistler at this time, and then to Mrs. Cartwright to bring us up to date with what has been happening and where we're looking to go forward from there. Mrs. Kistler, can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tack. Hello, everybody. So I did want to give everybody an update tonight in our beginning talks of looking at social emotional learning and SEL for short implementation in the elementary center. We are using a guidance from CASEL, which is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning organization. So it's a practice, policy, and resource organization that helps schools to implement social and emotional learning in a very sequential way. So it has different components to it that help us to look at different years of implementation and the steps that we should be taking within those years. So obviously, we are in the very beginning stages of this, first year, first couple months, and we are following this, to start having principal engagement, starting to formulate a team that is going to be our core team to move forward in following a lot of these other steps. But right now, again, we've kind of established our core team. We're starting to branch out and to establish another part of our team, which is going to include our social workers, our school psychologists, our guidance counselors, and obviously different levels of administration to start developing a shared vision for what everybody is expecting this program to look like. Today at our elementary center faculty meeting, SEL was introduced just so that teachers have an idea of what's kind of coming down the pike and what we're asking them to be a part of. So SEL was introduced to them, and we are going to be sending out a survey shortly asking them, what areas do they see a need for right now that we can address while we're formulating programming at this point of development.
So Sam, as you said, that as we're looking with this, I know when we met with them, we're looking to start with monthly themes to bring out to staff and then also to students as well, which will be implemented on a daily and monthly basis in their classrooms. And then there was also brought to our attention with, I can't think, was it, I forget the IU, where they're looking at a possible pilot program they did last year. And they started that with other districts. And I know you guys have signed up for that to sit in and listen on the information and the details that they have for that, with the possibility of us looking at that for next year as well. But again, when we were talking, we definitely liked the thematic units and tying that in with all the students, and then also with staff and professional development, and then taking a look as, like the picture from up above, the different professional development at the level for elementary center to affect with staff, as well as then on a continuing basis for, next year and for indefinite for the future. So I know, Lauren, you had been involved with that too. I don't know if you want to touch on some other things there that Mrs. Kistler had mentioned. Mrs. Cartwright, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, thank you. I was just unmuted. So,
That's okay.
yeah, we are excited to just be in the very, very pre-planning stages. Like Mrs. Kistler said, we want to get the input from the staff. We know we need to start kind of on a small level and build up from there. Following the KISS method, we want to keep it simple. As to not overwhelm teachers in regards to feeling like this is just something else that they need to do. But we want it to be an effective thing that is done properly. As she said, we are in those pre-stages. The intent is to get input from the teachers, and then we are going to work our way up the ladder to get family involvement and eventually community involvement. We had some discussions in regards to what that could potentially look like, just to have a general outlook in regards to where we would like to go with this. But again, keeping the students as the forefront. They are the ones that need this. They are the ones we are doing this for. So we need to make sure we do it effectively. We did also discuss utilizing faculty meetings and in-service days to have trainings and being able to utilize our own staff, as well as if we look into utilizing the IU to have trainings for our staff to understand why, understand how, understand different times, like when they can implement these social emotional activities and themes throughout the day. One of the big things is we want to make sure with a program like this that we are, again, doing it effectively. We are giving the teachers the resources they need, not just, we don't want them to feel like I said, it's something else they're doing, but making sure that we build upon this and just continue to grow with it. So I am excited from a teacher standpoint. After our faculty meeting today, I had a few teachers, thank me and be excited about it, and for being a teacher member on the team. So I do know that there are many staff that at the elementary level, at least, that are happy and ready to get rolling with this. So so I just appreciate everyone kind of taking the ball and running with it as quickly as we have since the last meeting. And I'm excited to see where we go from here. Mrs. Kistler's found some fantastic resources and has been great in regards to communicating with myself and Mr. Tack and Mr. Sevlin and Mrs. Volsky. So we are excited to see where we go from here. So thank you.
If Mr. Sevlin or Mrs. Volsky have anything to comment about that, please feel free to do so.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and I'll just, really echo what both Mr. Tack and Mrs. Kistler and Mrs. Courtwright I've already said, we did mention at our faculty meeting, we had a full faculty meeting today, and Mrs. Volsky did share a brief video of basically the background of what SEL is and what the program and what we're looking for, so teachers were able to digest it a little bit. But I am excited to start with the core team that we met with and will add to, and then branch that out to a larger group in our building, and be able to deliver the program for our students and for our staff too. This is really at the forefront in the state now, as districts are going to be required to put something together and make it beneficial for all of our students, during this time. So I do want to thank Mr. Tack and Mrs. Corgrate and Mrs. Kistler especially for getting us some good examples to look over in the last couple of weeks, and to keep the dialogue open, just with some really good fresh ideas on different ways and methods that we can implement this program to make it meaningful. So I do thank them. Thank you.
Mrs. Volsky, any comments or anything?
I would just like to say, working with everybody on this, it's been really nice. We've had a lot of nice discussions about how we can best implement this with our students. Because definitely after the shutdown last March, we have noticed things with our students that we would like to get back, and just our conversations with them and the social interaction. We want to make sure that everything between our students is positive, and this is one of those steps to get back to kind of where we used to be with our kids, because we definitely saw some things lacking from our shutdown last year. So it's great to talk to everybody, and to be on a team and working towards something really positive for our students and our staff.
Okay. All right. I see we have a hand, Mr. Bradley. Let me get you there. Okay. Mr. Bradley, can you
Yes,
can you
sir.
hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a couple things. So first of all, I made some suggestions to the agenda and they were not applied. We didn't have a public comment at the beginning of this meeting, which should have taken place in courtesy and in accordance with our LASD policy. I appreciate that you're running the meeting, Tim, but Larry or Rita, who have the responsibility of being an authority of director, should know that. I'm hearing an attitude that makes us feel like we have to placate to the staff on implementing this. This is going to be mandated. It's definitely beneficial for our students. I don't understand why we're going down that path instead of the other path where we just make it a requirement underneath our district and take the lead. I believe that there's not a single person that would obstruct the learning of this process within a school district that has thousands of children of all different levels, not just what I want to call low frustration tolerance, but actually all the kids could benefit from such knowledgeable, experienced staff members. And our goal is to provide the best staff in a government agency. So we should give this information to all of our staff and provide it to them as part of their mandated curriculum from our staff members. The same way we teach people OSHA safety, we should teach them this. Is there a problem that, first of all, is there a problem that I can't get my video on? Is there a problem that we can't have public comment? Is there an issue that when I, as a director, seek to put things on the agenda, that they did not make it to the agenda? What's going on here, guys? Larry, you're running the meeting, right? You're the president. You're the responsible party. The
Mr.
director.
Bradley, I didn't see anything you sent to me on any topics that you wanted to add to the meeting.
Yeah, that's great. Ignorance is really blissful, but
No, don't be ignorant. You didn't copy me in an
I didn't say
email
I was ignorant, sir.
concerning this.
I didn't
No.
say I was
Okay,
ignorant.
here we go. Now we're gonna start the same old thing. Thank you very
You
much.
remind me of, did you have your waffles today, Larry? Anyway, listen to me carefully, Larry. You were supposed to be running the meeting.
Mr.
I'm
Bradley,
gonna be able-
Mr. Stern is not running the meeting. Thank you. Mr. Tack is running the meeting.
If Mr. Tack's running, I mean, that's a shame because our policies say Mr. Stern should be running
This
the
is
meeting.
not a committee meeting.
What is this?
It's an academic affairs meeting. It's not a committee.
When did you decide that this is not a committee? When you're going to lose the court case related
Mr.
to
Bradley, do you have
Sunshine
any
Act?
beneficial information to share with the
Yeah,
group?
I'm actually looking at the Academic Affairs Committee agenda written
Do you
on
have
our
any
website.
beneficial information to share with the group?
Well, yeah, I
We're here
am.
to talk about SEL. If you're so
I am
worried
talking
about the
about
SEL
SEL.
program,
I
why
wanna make
can't
sure
we
the protocol's
focus on how we could work together and implement the SEL program?
I am.
And
And
getting people on board to understand why we're doing it, and as you said, making it a requirement. We work in a public school district. We want to get everyone on board. We want to get buy-in for everyone, and this is the process of when we roll out programs. It's not about force feeding anything. It's not about making anything a requirement. It's about working together as a team and trying to put out the best product we can when it comes to this program. If you have nothing beneficial to say, Mr. Bradley, and nothing that is going to add to the program, please don't waste our time or anyone else's time on this committee.
just because you don't appreciate my insight, Mr. Cleaver, and I certainly don't respect your comments there. However, I will say that as a team, there's a hierarchy to this team. So let's deal with the protocol first so we can have a productive meeting because you're trying to silence a board member and it's wrong.
I think it's a
Now,
misconception that you are talking that there's a reluctance to people participating in this when you haven't been in any of the meetings and you haven't. I don't think you've really heard what the instructional staff has been saying because they were saying everyone was really working together to start getting this type of program implemented in our elementary center.
I agree, and I think it's wonderful.
I didn't hear any one of them say that there was a resistance to this particular program, as you stated, Mr. Bradley.
Mr.
Let's
Stern,
not infer into what you're reading into in how people are speaking when you get the facts mixed up as you usually do. Thank you.
Mr. Stern, I did not get the facts mixed up. I very much listened to the presentation that said that we're going to spoon feed these people to try to get them to accept this process when it is identified that this is going to be a mandated process. The hierarchy within our district is a government agency. These are government employees. They have responsibilities to meet the law, as do you, as do I. We all have authority. This is
Mr. Bradley.
Hold on, I'm talking, please. We do have an Academic Affairs Committee meeting today. It's on the agenda. It was advertised as a Sunshine Act meeting. It was advertised as an Academic Affairs Committee meeting. If you're going to mix protocol here, Larry, we want to know what you're mixing here because I think you're just trying to alienate the public and not comply with the Sunshine Act. That's a mistake. We all agreed that we were going to have video on these meetings. It looks like Rita has hers functioning. Mine is not allowed. I tried to unmute my video. It's not being permitted. You have a presentation that we're talking to these teachers, talking to these staff members, and my letter that you're saying you did not get is a shame. However, the communication that I did present to the team, to our committee, to our policy was to add to the agenda for public comment the ability, let me get it for you. Can you share my screen, Mr. Stern?
No,
Okay, how come?
because I'm not controlling the meeting. Mr. Tack is controlling the meeting.
See, that's
We're
why
not sharing this
government should
No,
actually.
again, you're incorrect, sir.
No, I'm not incorrect. Our policies are listed, they're written, you should follow them, you helped write them. But anyway, I wrote that I'd like two recommendations. My first recommendation to the board as a whole, and we need to take public comment prior to making this recommendation. The recommendation is that all employees, including the coaches and part-timers, should hold an SEL training certificate or pass an approved SEL training course prior to their employment. Now, we can have a buffer period for all our existing employees, I get it, and we should do that quickly. Nothing on this initiative that was presented in this meeting was presented to your board. The second recommendation is that the district administration create an internal training program for SEL And I want to use the two books, Emotional Intelligence and The Explosive Child, as part of the training curriculum. I think if we design that curriculum, we can get everybody up to speed quickly, because we have problems within this district for these children. Not only the ones with a frustration tolerance, but all the students, when we have as many problems as we have currently seen in this district and documented within the administration of this district and documented within the board of this district in the Auditor General's report. So rather than explode on me, why don't you look at the input that I'm presenting and recognize that when you listen to what those people said in relationship to how we're spoon feeding them, so they're going to try to get them on board, make sure are you implying that there might be an opportunity that they don't want to do this? Because I don't think that's an acceptable opportunity. I will let someone else speak at this time. I don't know why the other errors are in taking place within this committee meeting, but they should be corrected immediately.
Lauren,
So,
I see.
Mr. Bradley, it's Mrs. Corgrate. First of all, just coming from a teacher standpoint, I understand that, board members and others have other opportunities to be on. If we could get back to the SEL and maybe the committee stuff could be determined at another time, because this isn't a school board meeting, I don't know that that's an appropriate place for it. But in regards to the SEL program, I did not use the word spoon feed, so I apologize if you took it that way. What I'm saying is, as a teacher and being in an actual classroom, there are a lot of things that we are required to do, as we have chosen to do going for this profession. What I'm saying, and I am not disagreeing with the fact of having teachers being trained in social emotional learning. I do not know that policy for the fact that I have not read it or looked it up. I'm not saying that it's right or it's wrong. I do know from when I went to college, which is not too long ago, I was not required to have a social emotional certification when I left college in order to be hired. It is my understanding, and again, I could be wrong, that unless new guidelines have been created for coming into working in a district, you come with a bachelor's degree in education, whether it's elementary, special education, or a specialized area. The SEL certification, from my understanding, is an add-on that you are required to pay for to have. Therefore, I don't know that it is possible, again, not my expertise area, I don't know that it's possible that we can require teachers to have a certification coming into it. However, I do feel and agree that yes, we should have teachers trained when we come in, as we do with any new curriculum that we do get under an academic umbrella. So it's not that these teachers will not be trained. I feel that we are simply, though, at the pre-planning stages. And again, I think we need to look at what are we going to do that is best for the students and start there, and then we can look into how we are going to train the teachers. This focus, and I came with this recommendation last month, and I am not going to back down on it. This focus right now is for the students. We need to figure out what we are going to do and what we are going to implement that is best for our students. Then we can focus on where we go from there. We need to take this one step at a time, because if we do it too quickly and we do too much, it is going to overwhelm teachers, and it is going to overwhelm other staff with everything that we do on a daily basis. We have made incredible progress in 1 month just to meet and to determine some topics and determine how we want to get a team into place. This is the most proactive I have seen any team be in the time that I have been in my teaching position. So I really think we need to slow down. We need to take a step back. I appreciate the input, but I am not going to back down for my advocacy for that we need to focus on the students first. So I appreciate the fact that we want our teachers to be extremely highly qualified, but there also is a process in making that happen. as there is with anything else. So thank you to our team that has been already meeting and putting this into place. I am thankful for the progress that we have made, and I am in agreement with our team that we have had on where we are going to continue to go, which is what Mrs. Kistler had stated before as to what our plan is to go next. So again, I just end with, I please ask, let's not take our students out of this picture, because they are the ones that need this. They are the ones that I'm advocating for. They are the ones of why I became a teacher. So I just ask everybody to please keep that as our focus as we continue to go from here.
Ms. White,
Thank
I know you
I
have your
appreciate, I
hand up.
appreciate that. Hold on a second. I appreciate that.
Mr. Bradley, I'm running,
Mr. Tack,
Mr. Bradley,
Mr. Tack,
Mr. Bradley, you will
Mr.
have
Tack,
time to
I-
comment, excuse me.
I want to talk.
I am running the meeting.
I want to
Mr.
respond.
Bradley.
I-
I'm running the meeting. Beth White, please speak.
I want to respond to Ms. Cartwright while it's.
Mr. Bradley, do you know when to be quiet?
Apparently not, Mr. Tack. Are you going to
I
silence
guess
me?
not, so I'm gonna mute you.
Why would you mute?
Hello?
Why would you mute me, sir? I'm going to respond to Ms.
Because you don't
Cartwright.
know when to be quiet.
Well,
So be quiet, Miss White.
Mr. Tack, please. She
Mr.
responded.
Bradley, please shut your mouth.
I don't believe that you're going to do this to me as a director
Well,
of this
excuse me,
committee.
you better learn, because I've been quiet long enough listening to your BS and mandates. I'm fed up with it. You have nothing good to do for the district. All you do is drag people down. And if you're not gonna do that, it's your way or no way. The same way your proposal that you're making for this program, it's your 2 books. Who made you God?
Miss
So
White.
be quiet and
Miss
Miss White,
White,
please speak.
Mr. Tack, I'd
Ms.
like to
White.
respond. Wait, I'd like to
Ms.
respond.
Mr. Bradley.
I would still like to respond. Are you going to silence me?
Yes, I will.
That's bad.
Miss White,
That's really bad. That's really bad.
Okay, go ahead, Miss White, thank you.
Could you just please explain a little bit more about this program and what it entails? Because I haven't seen any emails or I've been told anything really about it or haven't received anything about it.
Right, I will, Ms. Kistler?
Oh, hi, Ms. White. So social-emotional learning is basically an integral part of education, okay, and human development. So what it basically does, and you have not received any information as a parent yet, because again, we are in the very beginning stages of it. There are specific core competencies that we're going to be working with children on. So those 5 core competencies include self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, self-awareness, and responsible decision-making. So basically what we're striving to do is to each month on each side of the building pick a theme for the month, such as empathy, that would fit within the social awareness core competency, and do some lessons in the classroom, have some key players from the community, key players from throughout the school come in and do extension lessons with kids integrated into morning meetings. So those are the messages and the things that we're working on with kids to help them all become, we're working on the whole child, okay? We're not just looking at the academic part of this. We definitely want to be looking at, how kids are dealing with situations that occur in their life, how they're able to regulate their emotions, exhibit self-control. And we're going to be doing this in like a tiered system. So obviously the lessons that we're pushing out are going to be going to everybody. And then as we identify more need areas within different subgroups of our kiddos, we can pull them in and give them more, specialized and direct instruction if we identify need.
Okay, yeah, because I had to take a class on that for social work, and also I work with children with behavioral issues and autism spectrum and things like that, and that's one of the things that I'm teaching them. So I do like the idea, but how is this going to incorporate everybody, the students in school and the students not in school?
Oh, well, it's really, our implementation is looking to begin next school year. We're not, so because it's just a program that we want to do really, really well. So it's something that we're definitely taking our time to make sure that, we're checking off all the boxes to make sure that this is a program that's implemented with fidelity, and it's a program that's going to be able to be sustained within our schools. Okay, this is not something that we want to happen quickly. This is not something that we want to be fly by night. This is something that we're investing our time into, and all of us on, our core committee are really passionate about. And it's something we want to do the right way. So we're really in the beginning stages of this. Again, like Ms. Corgrate said, this kind of came up at the last academic affairs meeting. We met a few times just to kind of, get our feet wet and to start doing some research. I would say right now we're in the research phase of everything. But we're definitely looking at implementation for next school year and at the beginning of the year.
Okay, well, I really do like that idea. But also how, so you said implementing it every month by they're gonna pick and choose? What about the children who already have issues and who already are seeing somebody who already need those? Are they gonna have to do the same things the same way? Unless they're being taught a different way?
So that's where our tiered system is going to come into place. So if you're looking at a tiered system and you're looking at a triangle, your base of your triangle, your biggest tier would be tier 1. So we're trying to get every student touched with that tier 1 information. Okay. So the lessons that are happening in the classroom, the statements that are happening at morning meeting, the things that are happening at assemblies and at during announcement time, those are the things that are going to correlate back to our 5 core competency areas with our monthly theme to the entire student body. As we do identify kids that have more specific needs, we can move them through higher tiers, getting, to the tip of the triangle where there's less kids, smaller groups, where we might have to be implementing some more, maybe some counseling groups, or if we're identifying areas that kids are really struggling in, we can group them together and get them the additional resources and help that they need.
Okay, so that is really great because, like I said, I do the same thing. And one of the issues is that, what if a child is resistant? Are you going to push them forward to it, or how are you going to handle that?
This is something that we want to be engaging. This is something we want to be fun. It's not something, it's something that we don't even want kids to know that they're really learning about while we're doing these things. Just because, again, with that student buy-in, we don't want them to be resistant. It's not something that we're going to push and, make difficult for a kiddo. But it's definitely something that, we're going to do our best to make a fun learning activity out of, so that they want to be engaged in the lessons that we're presenting.
And so you're in the process of looking at the lessons and planning them out and making sure that they're at the level that they should be. You're researching all of that?
Yeah, so like I said, so there's the 5 core competencies. What we're trying to do is, from those 5 core competencies, focus on one area every month. And again, the areas, and this is in the very beginning stages. So if we're focusing on the core competency area of self-management, okay, on the elementary level, regulating on the primary side, regulating your emotions and what those activities and what those lessons are going to look like are going to look much different than they might look on the intermediate side. So there will definitely be some changes in the way that the lessons are presented based on grade level and student experience.
Okay. Now all the kids are going to be in school then next year, correct?
That is the plan, as long as COVID cooperates.
Okay. My son personally isn't in school, and that's why I'm saying he has emotional and behavioral issues, which is why I'm questioning everything, because he's already got services and I'm leery about, and I want to know everything about how it's going to go.
Absolutely. And we definitely want parents involved. That's one of the conversations that we've already had. We would like to start a Google site where parents can go on, and if the core competency that we're working on and the target area is managing emotions, we want to provide parents with ways that you can work with your kids at home on managing emotions. Again, we're looking at students as a whole child, whether that is issues that they're having in school or issues that they're having outside of school. because we know better than anybody that issues that are affecting them outside, they're going to bring with them into the classroom every day, and it's going to affect the way that they learn, and it's going to affect their academic progress. So that's why we're all so passionate about looking at ways to help students, regulate their emotions, cope with things that they're going through. Obviously, grief will be a big topic, loss will be a big topic right now, just with everything that's happened with COVID. But we're really looking at targeting the whole child at home and at school. And I think we're going to see definite growth in academic success once we can, help these kids in an emotional sense.
I see that too, but kids are a lot different in school than they are at home. So like what you can try and teach them at home isn't going to be moot if they say have certain diagnoses or they don't want to listen. So it's going to be pointless if you're trying to implement it at home and implement it at school. How is that going to be handled?
Well, it's not going to be anything that's mandated to be implemented at home. It's just going to be information that we would like to share out for parents that might have questions about how they can help to reinforce the things that are being taught in school. So it's similar to a student having a math lesson in school and then going home and working on math homework. It's just the way that you might be able to have a conversation with your child at the dinner table, or might be able to extend what they're being taught in school to your home, basically. So it's just going to be tips, tricks, and some information.
Okay. I'll probably touch base a lot more on the subject because I don't want to hold if anybody else has.
No, absolutely. And if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to me. Again, we're in the very beginning stages of all of this. So, we're definitely going to be looking for parent input, community input. That big picture is really important to this entire process. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I'm almost done with my social work degree and I have my behavioral therapy and stuff like that. So I implement a lot at home, but it doesn't carry over a lot. So.
Okay. Well, like I said, if you have any more, pointed questions or you want any information, definitely reach out. Okay.
I believe Ms. Wentz.
Hi, I just wanted to give a couple thoughts coming from a classroom teacher. And obviously, I highly value the SEL, and I just wanted to give a kudos to both Mrs. Kistler and Mrs. Corgrate and the whole team for just being so serious about this and for doing it well and not just pushing something out very quickly without doing the research and making sure that it's well thought out and well organized. As a teacher, I'm very excited to start this, but I do know that it makes more sense to have it organized and to have it done from the ground up as opposed to pushing it out very quickly. So I will definitely look forward to getting information as it comes out. And thank you all for being so quick to get on this and to start working on it and to put the time into making it valuable for our kids. Thanks.
Mr. Tack?
Yep, okay, Mr. Bradley has his hand raised. Here, Mr. Bradley, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
I find it very disrespectful for the way you're treating a board member or any member of this community. I'm very happy to see that you didn't put your fingers in your ear and start singing la 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 like you did in the past when you didn't like the comments being made by a director. Now, as far as the Sunshine Act, and as you called it, all that other BS, this is a very important part of the puzzle. The stakeholders are who we serve, and they need to have this input. This is not a teacher-oriented device. This is for the students. And this is very much needed within our district. It's needed for the students. And the only way the students are going to benefit from this program is if every staff member of this agency has an awareness and a certain level of training in this regard. The fact that we do not have that, and the fact that it was not mandated in the past to become an employee of this district, was oversight, the lack thereof. We need to be able to understand that when we hire people, we hire them for the best interest of our students. And I think that we have the greatest teachers, and anyone can be trained quickly and easily within a program for SEL. They're offered at almost every college and almost everyone graduating from college has awareness of this process. As a government agency, we get to dictate what level that is. And I think that introductory level, whereas they're doing it in these meetings, or apparently are doing it in staff meetings, is good. I think as a board, we should mandate that they receive this information, and we should schedule time within their contract to make sure they ensure this meeting the same way we do for OSHA safety and any other safety related activities. This is a safety related activity. This is a way to protect these students. The piecemeal method in which you're attempting to understand this process, I think, lacks foresight. We should be progressive on this process. We should protect our students, and all of our teachers and staff should have access and some training. I believe that someone within our staff, or I'll do it myself if we need, should set a curriculum of a basic need for all of our students and staff to take. We can make the parents voluntarily attend. We can do it online. We can do it in that beautiful gym of ours. But the fact that we have had so much trouble protecting our students because of the lack of proper oversight by our teachers within our district is cause for an immediate corrective action. And that's where the government agency and its oversight has these Sunshine Act meetings to talk about and let the input from the stakeholders come in prior to implementing it, so that it's implemented for their benefit of their students, the people that we serve. Now, I made a recommendation as a board member. I expect it to be honored as a panelist on this meeting, and I want to know why it wasn't on the agenda, and I'd like it to be read into the agenda and then voted on to recommend it to this board. And I'd like the public to have an opportunity to speak on that prior to that vote. Thank you. And I don't know who's running the meeting, but according to our documents, our policy, there's supposed to be a chairman, a school director that's a chairman that's running the meeting, and he can hand the podium post to whoever, but they ever hand it to Tim Tack again, I'm not very pleased with his performance. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bradley, for your professional words of wisdom. It's greatly appreciated. No problem with that. And do I have any other comments from anyone else?
Well, hold on, sir. It's great that you appreciate it. Now we need to show action.
Excuse me, Mr. Bradley,
the best
if
example.
other people have anything.
I know, but
Mr.
the best
Bradley,
example.
I gave you
I know,
excuse me,
but I
Mr.
made a
Bradley,
recommendation, though, to like to put on the floor. We want to put it on the floor.
There are no other
There's
public.
none. You can see it. You can see it on the screen.
Okay.
There's none. We need to put it
Thank
on the
you.
floor. The recommendation needs
And then
to
we'll
go on
go
the
to
floor.
the next item.
No, we need the recommendation to go to the floor, Tim. Mr. Tack, I'm not one of your students. I'm a board of director and adult. I'm asking for a recommendation to be made.
Steamrolling it through.
I
We
need
can
a
ask for your
recommendation.
recommendation. Okay, I vote no. Mrs. Spinelli, do you vote no?
Well,
or do
you
vote
can't
yes?
vote until I
No,
speak first.
absolutely
You
not.
can't-
If we got this email this afternoon, if you have things for the agenda, you need to do it before the same day, because just as you complain that the public has no chance to review things, they also have no chance to review when you bring it up the day of the agenda. So, no, I vote no. We're moving to the next topic. Thank you.
Hold on, Rita. They need to speak.
I will
We need
not
to-
hold on, Mr. Bradley.
The people need to speak before you make that vote, number one.
No,
And number
they do
two,
not.
the agenda was changed at 12:30.
Stern,
Hold on, the
or
agenda
Mr.
was
Tack,
changed
would you
at
please,
12:30.
we will
Yep.
move-
The,
yeah,
wait, I'll move on to
the
the
agenda was
second.
changed at 12:30, Rita, so your rant should go to Rebecca, not me.
Again, can we please, the PA assessment update, Mr. Tack?
Yes, the PSSA assessment. We received word last Friday that the state has written officially to the federal government, and they're looking to see about extending the window for PSSAs and for Keystones. That could go all the way to the end of this school year or to the beginning of next school year. Keystones will be going as normal with our testing dates in May. And we met with all our principals and stakeholders yesterday regarding PSSAs. And we're looking at the possibility of going as late as possible at the end of the school year, and especially for our elementary kids and say necessary middle school students, that would replace some of the finals, and especially with math, ELA, and with science for 8th grade. We did not want to wait until next year because we just felt that you'd have the lapse over summer again. They've already had the lapse from COVID, and then those poor kids would be getting tested twice in the same year. So we are looking at that. I know that's being brought up on at the IU unit as well, and we're waiting for further information and direction from the state. But as it stands now, what we're looking as a district is that with PSSAs, we're focusing on that first week of June. And we would be doing that. We would bring our virtual students in one day and then have our other students another day. And, make sure we adhere to all the guidelines from CDC and so forth. But that's what we're looking at there for the PSSA and the Keystone update. And again, that information I know was handed out to you, you received from the state. The first thing there on the Department of Ed with the new guidelines saying that, it can be pushed back. You can see there the other guidelines and then officially the letter that went to Mr. Rosenblum, the Acting Assistant Secretary of Education. And that was from our Acting Secretary of Ed, Mr. Ortega. So that's where we stand with the PSSAs and Keystones. Does anyone have any questions or input with that? I know we talked with Mrs. Volsky and also with Dr. McGullough.
Is Mr. Tack, Ms. Holland?
Yes, I just would like to thank you, Mr. Tack, but as well, just so you know, the first wave of Keystone testing is occurring at the high school as currently. We did the assessment last week for biology last Tuesday. We did Algebra 1 yesterday, and we will do our literature assessment on the first wave of the students because of the block schedule and the semester scheduling. So that has gone off fairly well without a hitch. The students that are assessing do follow all guidelines and 6-foot spacing and proctoring and monitoring. So the students who are assessing are reporting to school, and those students that are not assessing are staying home and having a virtual learning day for those days. Okay?
Thank you.
And I believe Ms. White.
Ms. White? Yep, Ms. White?
Yes, I'm here. I want to opt my son out of that. So how do I go about doing that?
You need to contact their elementary principal, and
Okay.
and you could go with that, and I believe Mr. Sedlin will be able to assist you with that.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'll do that.
Okay,
Mr. Sedlin?
thank you. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to clarify for Ms. White and anyone else who's listening. So the PSSA is only given at the elementary level anyway for grades 3 through 5. So grades K through 2, they wouldn't be participating in any of the state testing at this time. Again, testing would start in grade 3.
Thank you. Mr. Tack, that is the only comments we have from the.
Okay, we have one, I see panelists. I'll go with Mr. Bradley here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bradley?
Yeah, you mentioned that you met with and spoke to the stakeholders. What is your definition of stakeholders?
With the principals, assistant principals, and the test coordinator.
Well, why are you not considering the stakeholders as the parents, the students, and the community members as defined in our policies?
We will be going to them, but again, we were going at a starting point, Mr. Bradley.
Yeah, well, the reality is, Mr. Tack, we work for them, so they are the starting point. As far as the PSA opting out, there is a website that allows and shows you the forms for opting out. I'm concerned, I am very concerned that you're not taking this seriously, and it's disappointing to me.
Well, I'm glad you put your opinion in my mind, and thank you for thinking for me and talking for me. You do that anyway with everybody, so I greatly appreciate it.
And your sarcasm is appreciated as well. Thanks, Timmy.
Well, thank you. Anything else?
Any other comments from the panelists, the committee, for good of the order?
I have two.
Go ahead, Mr. Bradley.
Does anybody else want to go first?
Go ahead, Mr. Bradley.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to have Larry explain why he's thinking this isn't a committee meeting or what he's trying to pull on that one. Secondly, I want to know why Rita's the only one that can have her camera unsilenced. And I
Mr.
also want to
Bradley, it
know,
must be user error on your part because anyone who wants to use their camera, it's a button that you click on Zoom, so any panelist can use their camera.
okay, so I click the button on Zoom and it doesn't work. I can use my camera. I'm putting it on screen right now. Hi, everybody. And I won't.
Mr.
I will
Bradley,
not.
when you
I will not
enter
flick
the
the-
Zoom meeting, there's a place for you to use the audio. That's where you click it.
I did.
It says
And
join
no
with video,
offense.
I believe.
Yep, I understand.
Yes, it does.
I understand, and I like that you flick your middle finger over there, Rita, on a regular basis to me. I appreciate that because I am recording this meeting. But at the same time, I'd like to make the statement that this is a committee meeting. This is a government committee meeting. Now, I don't know what Larry's trying to pull, but I'd like to make sure that we identify that here in this meeting. And I have two recommendations, that I'd like to be formally heard by this committee. And I'd like to be able to have that presented so we can put it in the minutes that a committee member is seeking to have my voice heard. So let's do it. First of all, Larry, would you like to answer your little diatribe at the beginning and your argument and your explosive
Mr.
nature?
Bradley, no one is required to answer any questions.
I know he's not required, but as a gentleman, he should make a statement as
Is
to
there
why
any
he's silencing
other
the public.
comments related to academic
Well,
affairs?
I am. It's a committee meeting.
Not for me, Mr. Cleveland.
I want to know why it's a
All
committee
right,
meeting. It's
I
not a
make a
committee.
motion,
No, we got the
we
two
don't have to make a
recommendations.
motion to adjourn, we can just.
We got two
adjourn.
recommendations, Larry. I got two recommendations. You heard I had two. I just wanted to deal with
We
this.
don't make recommendations at committee meetings,
You
Mr.
do.
Bradley. This is one of your ploys to get someone to do something you can sue over.
Yeah,
No
call you-
recommendations are made during committee meetings. Thank you.
Then why does your board agenda say that it was a recommendation made at the committee meeting, Rita?
Mr. Bradley,
I
do
think
you
you're
have
lying.
anything to
I think
share
you're
with the
lying.
academic
I
affairs?
do. I do. I
Okay,
have two
then you
recommendations.
please
I
get
Make
presented
the
them.
motion to adjourn,
I
please.
presented them. I presented them in an email. Rita
Adjourn.
got the email. She just said she got them late.
All right, thank you,
But
everybody.
I have the two recommendations. I think you should hear the
I
recommendations.
appreciate it.
I think you should hear the recommendations I'm making.
Mr. Bradley, thank you.
Why don't you let me play the recommendations? They're simple. The meeting's ended.